Dissolution is a pretty unique mod among what I've played. Story, setting, and combat are all set up differently from Half-Life. Of course, it still retains that Source Engine feel, but everything else about this mod is pretty different from what most mods do. In some ways this is a good thing, a nice change of pace, making it feel like you're playing a different game rather than a mod of an existing one. In other ways, however, this mod struggles to properly balance itself after breaking free from the Half-Life style gameplay. Straying from formula means creating from scratch, which is difficult, and Dissolution's attempts to do so are imperfect. That's not to say this is a bad mod. I enjoyed it, but it has a few pretty major flaws. So how exactly does this mod differ from Half-Life? Let's start with story. This is not set in the Half-Life universe. Instead, you find yourself on board a moon base a while after Earth has been destroyed. Unfortunately, everyone on the moon base has gone insane and wants to kill you. The game goes into more detail in a few ways, all of which help paint the picture for what's happening. It's not as fleshed out as it could be, but I was satisfied. I like the story. It's far from the most original thing out there, clearly taking a lot of inspiration from BioShock or something similar. But it works. It makes sense and provides a good backdrop for the game. The game itself is unfortunately where things start to get a bit rocky. I can appreciate what the mod team was trying to do in a lot of aspects. Dissolution isn't really a combat-focused mod. It comes up frequently enough, but doesn't last, and leaves you most of the time exploring, listening to audio logs, and doing a bit of Metroidvania-style backtracking. I like this aspect of it. It keeps you interested in the story and characters, but never lets you fall into a lull. You're always on edge, waiting to be ambushed. And when those ambushes come, you'd best be prepared, because Dissolution is a very challenging mod. It will punish you for bad health and ammo management. It will punish you for poor aim. It will punish you for letting your guard down. Unfortunately, towing the line between challenging and hard is a challenge in and of itself for anyone who tries balancing gameplay. I make the distinction between the two where challenging is good and hard is frustrating. Dissolution falls into the category of challenging 90% of the time. The other 10% though goes a bit too far. Let's start with enemy AI. Remember the HECU Marines back when Black Mesa first released? How they could snipe you from a mile away if you so much as bent a blade of grass? Dissolution has a similar problem. The AI is godly. It knows where you are at all times. The instant you or the enemy turns a corner, they're already firing, and the next second you're dead. This is compounded by the fact that the game throws enemies at you in sizable groups, so even if their aim isn't perfect, there's still 5 bad guys gunning you down at the same time, all with the same psychic ability to target you instantly. This isn't the only complaint I have for combat either, because the enemies are also pretty spongy. They take quite a few shots before going down, and that's if you can place your shots well, which is another issue. Weapon accuracy is, to be frank, bad. You can place your shots as carefully as you please, but aiming for headshots is a fool's errand, since both the pistol and assault rifle couldn't hit the broadside of a barn at medium to long range. This isn't helped by the fact that the most deadly enemy in the game has a tiny hitbox. Also, once your magazine is out of ammo, good luck surviving the quickly advancing enemies, since reloads take quite a while. All in all, you can scrape by fine for most of the game by playing carefully, which is, I'm certain, the point of the mod. But there are a few points. Notably the ending, where that's just not enough. Let's move past combat though, as, like I said earlier, there's a lot more to this mod than the fights. I enjoy exploration in games. Being able to walk around and take in environments and story without the distraction of combat is fun. I have no issue with the story side of the exploration in Dissolution. I really like the audio log mechanic. Tons of games use it to great effect, and this mod is no exception. I do, however, have an issue with the environments. Simply put, they're ugly. Brushwork is average at best. Rooms and objects are boxy, lacking detail. They're uninteresting. Textures are high in fidelity, but downright bland and unpleasant to look at. The whole game is gray corridors and gray rooms, highlighted with occasionally interesting lighting and a few posters hung on walls. I think given the game's story, which I won't spoil, a dreary environment works and in all likelihood is intentional, but there's a difference between depressing and bland. Dissolution's world space is about as bland as they come. In the sound environment, things are a bit more balanced. Well, actually they aren't, but I'll get to that. What I mean to say is the game has a lot of high-quality sound elements to balance out the poorer parts. Voice acting is good. It's rare to see a mod that has voice acting at all, so any is appreciated, and Dissolution's small cast does a mighty fine job in their roles. Music as well is atmospheric and well-timed. Both music and voice acting have great audio quality. Sound mixing is where things go a bit south. On many occasions, voice acting was far too quiet to hear. Music and sound effects are much louder, so I set my volume to make listening to those comfortable, but when spoken dialogue came on, I'd have to turn up my headset just to hear it. At the end of the day, I'd still recommend this mod. It's got enough high-quality elements to balance out the poorer parts. If you're looking for something more far removed from Half-Life, both in story and gameplay, Dissolution might be for you. Just don't feel bad if you get stuck in a combat encounter with no way out but good old God mode. That's all for this mod review. Like and subscribe for more. But in the meantime, this is where I get off.